Greetings, my friends. This is the brain of TV's Pinky in the Brain, and you are listening to This Week in Geek with Mike the Birdman Dodd and the rest of the Twig crew. Twigs. Come to think of it, Pinky, I've not used twigs in any of my latest plans for world domination. If this works, then Mike and the crew will rule by my side. Yes!
Did you grow up with the NES, PlayStation, Star Wars, cartoons, and 80s TV? Do you like to think who would win in a fight between Batman and the Master Chief? Comics, games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of geeks. Games, movies, music, and TV. They're gonna tell you everything you need. Superheroes or not, they got your back. They're gonna save the world of This Week in Geek. This Week in Geek.
How's everybody doing today? It's a quick show this week. Just 3 releases. Well, 4, but 2 of them came together because they were released at the same time, and I received them in the same package. We have a couple Stadia releases, the Sundered as well as Jotun, which have had releases previously on other platforms but are getting the Stadia treatment right now. There is also a review of the Justice League animated TV show's soundtrack released from La La Land Records, and we've also got a review in here of Sludge Life, which is an interesting title to say the least. It's Devolver Digital, so you know what to expect there, sort of. That's pretty much it for the show. There was going to be some more stuff, but Birdman moved stuff back for the next show. So we'll talk about sort of what's coming up next on the programming next week. But we wanted to make sure that we were getting these reviews out in more of a weekly manner. So instead of waiting till we had 6 to 10 reviews like we had been doing, we're like, no, let's stick to 3 or so every single week. And if we can hit that goal, we'll have content pretty much every Friday. We are taking a bit of a backseat and slowing down a little bit with some of the recording stuff over the next couple of weeks to sort of get a breather from all the interviews we had done in the last few weeks and editing and prepping for other things that we've still got on the go. So we wanted to sort of make it an easy breezy show. So that's going to be it. This is a quick intro. It's going to be a quick and short show you'll probably see from the runtime. But we wanted to make sure this stuff came up because this is all stuff that is releasing today.
Basically using geeks.
Leave me alone, geek boy.
Holy shit, you geeks are badass.
Devolver Digital has sent over Sludge Life for me to check out on the Epic Game Store. And this is something that I always like getting random weird indie titles. And as most people know by now, Devolver Digital doesn't, they don't slouch when it comes to the weird and sort of obscure style of games they release. So it's a collaboration between Terry Velman and Dacian, who have previously done High Hell. It's weird. It celebrates art vandals with a bit of urban traversal, and it's hard to describe. You go around. It's a first person perspective, and you're getting spray paint. You're tagging things. You are trying to roam the city and sort of build your street cred as as a tagger while avoiding things, and there's a bunch of different endings you can get based on how well you perform. It was a weird thing. There's a lot of settings you can turn on and off that are pretty funny in the game, like VHS mode, and it comes on by default. But VHS mode, what does it do? It makes it sort of wobbly and slightly fuzzy in certain scenes, like the tracking's off. There's options to turn on and off gore and blood. Also, do you like animals? If you click like no, then you can hurt animals in it or like tag them, or they'll come after you, or things like that. very weird settings you can make for the visuals that you can turn on and off. Some parts, I guess they put that in there because some of it could be a little nauseating if you don't like jerky movements or you don't like the VHS effect. I left everything on and went full weird mode, and I had a pretty good time going around collecting paint cans, spraying walls, getting points, tagging, trying to get my way around town. Pretty cool game. It's worth checking out. I don't know, exactly if it's like a must buy, but it is worth looking at a video or two to see if it's something that's going to be up your alley. Devolver stuff tends to be either you're going to love it or it might not be for you. So this is not like a universal catch-all, everybody's going to love it, but it is something that I found pretty neat. And, it is on the Epic Game Store. I'm not sure, some people have said, I don't want to buy it if it's on Epic Games because I'm on Steam, blah, blah, blah. You know what? It installed great. It works. If that's the platform it's available on, check it out. Unless you have some big aversion as to, I want to have it on whatever platform I want it on. It's on the Epic Game Store right now. And, I mean, it's so weird.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
With another one of the releases we received in that big grab bag from La La Land Records. They sent over Justice League, music composed by Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McCustian, and Christopher Carter. It's the original soundtrack for the animated series. So this is for the first couple seasons before it became Justice League Unlimited, which had remixed versions. So this comes with a 4-disc set. It's limited to 3,000 units, still available to purchase on the website, and they'll probably do second print run, maybe different packaging later on. That sort of seems to be their bag. One of my favorite cartoons of the last 20-some-odd... is it 20 years old now? It's starting to approach that, I guess. We're getting there, and it was probably my favorite. I love Batman, the animated series, but I felt like this was the last true, really good Justice League or I guess... Warner DC television show. There's been other ones since then. There's been some good things here and there, but this was the last of the, I would say, golden era that started in the 90s. So you get 4 discs here, and what they've done is they split up certain tracks based on what episodes they're from. So the first disc, you end up with the main titles track, obviously. On the second disc, you get the closing credits, which are an extended version, which you don't normally get on TV. You get the main shorter end credits on the 4th disc. The 3rd disc has the extended opening theme, which again you don't get on TV, even on like syndicated copies or on the DVDs or Blu-rays. So it's really the only way to get it clean here. Again, all the audio is mixed better than it would be in the show because there's no special effects or anything else, or low quality TV broadcast to muddy it up. As for what's included on the first disc, you also have music from Secret Origins, The Brave and the Bold, Legends, Eclipse, The Enemy Below. The second disc includes Injustice for All, Paradise Lost, Night of Shadows, Metamorphosis, Tabula Rasa, and The Savage Time. The third disc has Twilight, Warworld, Only a Dream, Hearts and Minds, Wildcard, Hereafter, and on the fourth disc you have A Better World, The Terror Beyond, Maid of Honor, Comfort and Joy, and Star-Crossed. Overall, you end up with 315 minutes of music on here. Pretty amazing. There's also, as I've sort of come to expect now with La La Land releases, a pretty hefty booklet in the jewel case describing the music for each episode, how it was composed, how it fit in, and how they decided to make it, some behind-the-scenes stuff, as well as some title credits and information on who played what instruments when they used them, that sort of thing. Pretty cool stuff. Each disc is actually printed with custom art for each sort of the themes of each one, which is pretty cool because a lot of times a lot of companies cheap out and they just print like the name of the disc and 1, 2, 3, 4. But it is custom art, which is pretty good to see nowadays. Overall, I would say there's more music on here than what you got on the Batman the Animated Series set I talked about last time. But I feel that the music in here is probably stronger to listen to for extended lengths if you want to put this in a sort of jukebox mix, if you wanted to make yourself a playlist, because there is more to it, but also the music seems to have a better theme and flow than some of the stuff on the Batman set, which was iconic mostly for the themes and a few little bits here and there that make you remember certain episodes. These are probably better composed tracks overall. Not much more I can say than that, other than it's just, if you're into collecting soundtracks, especially if you're into cartoons and the DC superhero stuff, it's something to pick up. It's still available. It is limited, so it might be a bit of a collector's item later on for you. I'll put a link in the description to it in the show, and that's going to do it. I'm just pretty happy. I'll lead out with the extended closing track, so you can sort of get a sense for what it sounds like.
This is a fair request, and I promise I will not judge any person only as a teenager, and that this is no more right than saying all teenagers are drunken dope addicts or glue sniffers.
Earlier this week, I was sent 2 new games that just premiered on the Stadia platform to check out. They've been available on other platforms already, and that is Jotun Valhalla Edition, as well as Sundered Eldritch Edition. Both indie, are they indie darlings, I guess you could say? They received a heaping amount of praise when they were initially shown off as very artistic, interesting, Norse European style hack and slash. I guess some of them, it's like a little Metroidvania-y slash RPG survival type games, and I've had some time now to play both. I had played a bit of both initially when they first came out on PC, and I wanted to sort of compare how it works on the Google Stadia platform. This, along with the previous releases I've talked about in the last couple of weeks, they lend themselves well to Stadia's platform because they're not super crazy detailed. They are nice and hand-drawn, but their art style blends in well with any compression that might be happening to the image when it's being sent over the network. I played these primarily without using the Chromecast Ultra, which should provide the least amount of latency and compression. But I played it in my browser like most people would be doing right now, and it played just fine. I like it, as if it was playing local for both titles. They were surprisingly responsive, very little latency. I was playing with two different controllers. One, I played with the I guess two different play styles. I played with the Stadia controller plugged and wired through USB-C to USB-A, and I played with keyboard and mouse for both. And I didn't feel that one had an advantage over the other, except in some of the platforming elements. They seem to play just fine, so it works that way. If you have if you have an extra Microsoft Xbox controller you want to plug into your computer, you can play it that way too, and it works just fine. So you don't need to have the Stadia controller. It just maps the buttons a lot easier if you just plug it in and do it that way, though. If you're not in the know exactly of what these games are, Jotun Valhalla Edition is developed by Thunder Lotus Games, also published by them as well. It is a hand-drawn action exploration game set in Norse mythology. You play Thora. It's a Viking warrior, and you died an inglorious death and must prove yourself to the gods to enter Valhalla. And you're exploring the realm of Norse purgatory and solving puzzles and hack and slashing and getting your way through there. Pretty cool game overall. Nice way to sort of spend a couple hours at a time playing. As far as Sundered Eldritch Edition, also Thunder Lotus Games, same thing, published. It's a 1-2 punch you get from them. They're retailing anywhere from $16 to $18, depending if it's US or Canada. Pretty good deal overall. So Sundered is a chaotic hand-drawn Metroidvania where you must resist or embrace ancient eldritch powers, enter the ever-changing world inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Out of the two, I like Sundered more. It was, and I'm not usually a Metroidvania type of player. It's not my jam usually. They're both great, but I did find that I enjoyed my time with Sundered a little more. Not much more I can say because these are games that have already been out, just to let you know that they are playable quite well on Stadia. So if you are taking advantage of the free couple months they're giving you right now, I believe they're going to give another couple months in June, again, if you're a new player. Why not? Give it a try. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you're looking to fill up your repertoire of games there, you can't really go wrong with these because they work very well on the platform.
Do you have any hobbies?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Hold that thought. It's crapper time.
All right, and that does it for the show this week. Coming up on the feed, we have likely another syndicated episode of, because we have one in the bag right now, of the Future Imperfect show where we did our backgrounds in science fiction and what got us into different science fiction books. So that is Birdman, myself, and Aaron joins us for that one as Steve was unavailable at the time. So we did that. We also have, I believe, I can't remember if this is the Fools Who Ride week or if this is a regular Nerd to the Third Power, but that should be coming up soon. We'll be syndicating it generally a day or so after it releases on their platform because Birdman's a part of it. We have, not this coming week, but it'll be the next week, we have an episode of The Prototype that is our backgrounds in game collecting, and it's a fun one. There's some really interesting stories back there, and for that we have Nerd of the Third Powers, Dr. Gonzo joining Birdman and myself, and we have very wildly different backgrounds when it comes to collecting and where we see it moving in the future and what our history is with it and what we're doing with it now. That'll be a fun one, believe me. There's some stories in there that we probably shouldn't have told. As far as the stuff for the main show, we have a regular show premiering in a few days on Monday. I'm not sure exactly what Birdman is putting in for his reviews there, but he did ask me to slot in 2 of mine. So I will have the Sega Thunder Force AC, which is the new Sega Ages release that just came out. There's also going to be a review of Shantae and the Seven Sirens from me in there. So these are all topical very soon. Like, they just came out as of my recording right now, and they'll be available this weekend for you to try out, which, when you're hearing this on Monday, when you hear the reviews on Monday, I guess it's going to be there. So you can play it then. As far as anything else, not much has changed in the last week as far as what Birdman and I are working on. We're still trying to get some website stuff done, which is going to take quite a bit of time. We're still in the process of editing. I know he's working on his Birdman, his Birdman's Book Club? Is that what he's doing right now? I think he's working on that, and I've got Twig After Dark, which is the perpetual, I know I say I'm working on it, but we are working on it. It just takes some time. So that's coming, in the future, not necessarily too near, but next week we also have our premiere episode of Loose Cannon, which is our B-movie show. We're going to be talking about the Sharknado series. So that is coming, I believe, tentatively sometime mid to late next week. Barring any major things, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that's when it's coming out, because we've had that planned and we're trying to figure out when to slot it in. So there's that. There's a few other things in the works, but that's pretty much it for the next week or so. There's, I believe, some items we were going to be reviewing haven't arrived because of postage delays. Right now, it's iffy. Some things get in the mail and they get here in like 2 days. Some things take forever. We should be reviewing some new tech, actually. Some new, I believe it's TP-Link is sending over some Wi-Fi mesh stuff to help with low latency gaming with Wi-Fi. Neat tech that I'll be checking out, because Birdman's like, that's over my head. So that stuff's coming. It was supposed to be here last couple of weeks, but because of delays with logistics right now with the COVID, a lot of things shut down. It was delayed until I believe mid to late June. So they were ready to go. We were ready to go. It's just like, oh, it's on a boat, and it'll take 6 weeks to get to where it needs to get to. So that's going to come soon. There should be some more headsets coming in the mail for us to check out. There's a lot in the mail. It might be a case where Birdman and I check our mailboxes and go, oh no, there's like 12 things in here. But what's probably going to come next week for me that just came in the mail today is a new Criterion movie. Well, not new movie, but a new release from the Criterion Collection, which is actually a Buster Keaton silent film, The Cameraman, which I had heard of and wanted to check out for quite some time. And interestingly enough, it's actually 2-in-1 movies. There is a second movie on here called Spite Marriage, which came out a year later in 1929. This movie, by the way, is a silent film from 1928. I don't know why they're not advertising that both are on it on the cover, but on the back, one of the special features is an entire another feature-length movie in 1080p. Maybe it's just not quite as remastered. I don't know. I'll have to dig in and see what that is like. But that'll be coming from me next week on the show, and I'm assuming probably another game or two. As of this recording, I believe Xenoblade will be out, which we may or may not be reviewing on the show. I'll probably be getting it regardless, just for myself to play. But if we end up getting a review copy from Nintendo, I'll be sure to try to crank that out within a week, because everybody knows how crazy I am with beating Final Fantasy VII Remake in about 38 hours. No, I beat it in 42 hours because I was up for 36 straight. So, yeah. I'll try to get that out. And then I think, what else is coming this week? I think there's that Clubhouse games coming at the end of the week. That wouldn't be reviewed probably in time for next week's show, but there's going to be a couple things in the works, and then we're going to hit this lull. It looks like there's not a whole lot coming this summer unless some big announcements happen in the next week or two, which is very, very possible, and then we might start getting an inflood of things. So we'll see what happens there, but that's pretty much going to do it. We're sort of taking a bit of a break, but we're still having main show stuff. It's just we're not ramping up these a show every single day of the week. We're going back to our regular, every other day or so we have something out.
Well, that's our show. All right, here's the deal. Every time you watch my show, I will send you $40.
Checks will not be honored.
You've been listening to This Week in Geek, your source for guaranteed nonsense or your money back. Tune in next week for more info on the most important things you didn't need to know. Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net and subscribe to our podcast through iTunes or any podcatcher. If you'd like to comment on this episode, head over to this episode's post at thisweekingeek.net and leave a comment through Facebook Connect. Follow us on Twitter at ThisWeekInGeek.net and follow our Instagram at twig_official_podcast. Social media not your thing? Send us an email at feedback@ThisWeekInGeek.net. We'll see you next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
Just when you think this show is terrible, something wonderful happens.
What?
It ends.
I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
Red Rocket! Red Rocket! Come on! Carmen, what the hell are you doing? I'm milking the dog. They make dog milk.
No, they don't.
Yeah, just hold on a minute. The 5th grader showed us how to do it. Red Rocket! Come on, dog. Red Rocket! Ah!
Whoa, cool. That's awesome.
I told you guys. I had no idea dogs made milk. Do it again.